Every GM wants to win the Super Bowl. They want to hoist that trophy up and say, I helped build this team. Even the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns go into the offseason every year and say, we're not going to screw it up like we did last year. Maybe they won't. Maybe they will. Most likely they will. But what's the best way to do that? Usually everyone thinks, well, we're going to stockpile a lot of cash and we're going to give it to our stud quarterback and say, hey, go win us some football games. But is that really the way to do it? I am here to break down the last 3 Super Bowl winners, 2 of which have broken the mold, and to tell you why things might be a-changin'. I'm your host, Trenton Hill, and you just might be watching Hill Time Sports. Let's go! Before we get into that, though, I'm going to be talking about the salary cap a little bit. Before 1994, teams could spend as much money as they wanted to keep their prized players, and there was also a time where they could refuse other teams signing their players, but that was undone after a 1993 lawsuit between White versus the NFL. After that, they said, well, you can't spend over a certain amount of money, and now we got free agency. There was now a cap on how much you could spend in players going against that cap, including quarterbacks. You had to start giving away players and paying others to maintain your roster. Only one quarterback since the implementation of the salary cap has won a Super Bowl while commanding 15% of the cap room. And that man is Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. From Patrick's first year till 2022, the Chiefs scored 28 to 30 points, including 35 in his first year as a starter in 2019, where they went to the AFC Championship before falling to Thomas Brady and his 12% cap hit. Mahomes is definitely all that in a bag of chips, but even he has seen a dip in his offensive numbers from 29 points per game in 2022 to hovering over 22 points per game and having to rely on less than adequate supporting cast mates. Yes, he's won the Super Bowl twice since he signed a big contract. 17%, 16% come to mind. But there's a big question on whether they can maintain that when he's going to be getting 22% of that pie in 2026. But now, let's look at the last 2 Super Bowl winners, and we're starting with the team that is number 1 in my heart, the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts and his Super Bowl run was a culmination of a fantastic run game and a fantastic defense, and Jalen Hurts only taking 5% of the pie. He was only called upon to do damage when they needed him most, none bigger than he did in the Super Bowl. And although some people will be like, well, the defense carried, Jalen Hurts dropped 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 Super Bowl MVP in a game where they faced none other than Patrick Mahomes, who was sacked 6 times and threw 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 and a fumble for a touchdown. Remember that, Patty? Remember that, Chiefs fans? Because I surely do. It was a glorious day. The only caveat about this strategy is Howie Roseman just keeps kicking the money down the lane for a later year when one day the Eagles will collapse for a few years and will suck and be at the bottom of the barrel. But that just happens with NFL. So Howie, we got to capitalize on that, because Nick Sirianni, is he the coach that's going to get us over the hump again, or do we need another driver? That's a video for another day, but now we're going to talk about the team I laughed at during the offseason. I am not afraid to admit my faults as a man. By signing Cooper Kupp and DeMarcus Lawrence, I was saying, this is the Shady Shoals retirement home from SpongeBob SquarePants. Can Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy really do the thing and win a Super Bowl, I had my doubts. Because not only that, they signed Sam Darnold, and I said, 7 to 9 games won, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs. But make the playoffs they did, and Darnold was a huge signing. Not in cash, bro, but for allowing John Schneider to build an absolute unit. A team with a monstrous defense that blew the doors off the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 60 and exacting their revenge for Super Bowl 49. Not only that, they sacked May 6 times, intercepted him twice, made him fumble, and Wosu with that pick 6. Darnold made plays this season when he needed to. He wasn't the guy. He was a cog in the machine, in my opinion. When he needed to be the guy, he was that guy. You saw it in the NFC Championship. You saw a guy that didn't mess it up in the Super Bowl. It's going to be interesting, though, when Darnold does command over 4.7% of the cap. He will be at 12% this year and the following year. But there is good news about that, because Tom Brady commanded that much money to the salary cap percentage-wise, which is good. Because then you can build around your team. It's one of the smartest things that Brady ever did was take pay cuts. Yeah, he probably made more in endorsements than he ever did with his contract. And now we get to the big three of quarterbacks who are heavily paid. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patty Mahomes will all be making over about 20% or more of the cap. I think Allen makes 18%, and the other two will be making over 22% this season. And yes, they are all MVPs, quarterbacks that put the team on their back. And this isn't a question on whether or not they should be paid, but is it smart for them to be paid as much as they are? Or should you go about it by building a great team around a good to great quarterback and trying to win that way? That's the debate here. I think yes, I think quarterbacks are important, but a great team and a great offensive line, a great D-line are just as important as a great quarterback. We saw Kenneth Walker win Super Bowl MVP, the first running back to do it since 1998 when Terrell Davis did it. And one thing about old Troy Aikman, Steve Young, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning, they never made over 15% of the cap space and went on to all win Super Bowls. What do you guys think, though? It might be time for the GMs to rethink that strategy and lean on a better unit than just relying on one guy to carry the show. But what do you guys think? You agree? Do you disagree on that point? I think that GMs need to rethink whether or not they pay their quarterback a boatload of money. But let me know in the comments. I will see you in the next video. Adios. Stay blessed. C'est la vie. Boom.